Villa Park is our next destination, where Villa made it 9 wins out of 10 by beating Arsenal. And the question we were asking about Villa very recently, up until really the last 2 games, was could this run of form continue while they weren't performing that well on the expected goals? Again, we always look at the underlying numbers to try and assess attacking performance, and this was their previous season average down at 0.91. That is not a team that you would expect to be pushing into the top 3. That was actually bottom 2 for the Premier League this season. But look at the 2 figures above that. Jamie, this was a very different story for Aston Villa from those last 2 games.
Yeah, and then when people ask me, is it sustainable for Aston Villa? That's not, as you've just said, but that is. And when people are talking about Aston Villa for the league right now, I think that's a little bit premature. But what I would say is, these last 2 games, it was difficult to keep that run going. But you think of the champions last season, Liverpool's expected goals average for the whole game was whole season was 2.2. So if they continue that, which will be really difficult, of course, then they have got a chance for the league title.
But certainly creating big chances as well. You see that big leap to 5 against Arsenal, 6 against Brighton. And this is when we flip it to look at the perspective from Arsenal's defensive perspective, and you see the previous average shots that Arsenal have faced in a game this season. I'll go in again just to point that out. 7.2. Aston Villa at the weekend had 15 shots against Arsenal, triple the amount of shots on target faced, big chances faced. The average for Arsenal, which is miraculous anyway, 0.7, now leaping as high as 5 in that Aston Villa game, way above the previous high that Arsenal had faced this season. And this bottom line I'll draw your attention to as well. Opposition touches in the box. Previous average for Arsenal, 14.1. The previous high, 36. Aston Villa managed 43. How did they do this, Jamie?
Well, listen, it was a fantastic... It isn't a game by 2 top teams. But what I want to say before we start the clip is Arsenal supporters and the players will be devastated, disappointed, I get that. But they were without the best centre-back partnership in the league, and I think it cost them. And I'm going to look especially at the battle between Nketiah and Ollie Watkins. So when we just run this on now, and just look straight away, you can see them together. Big, powerful centre-forward. There's always already physical contact, right? Coming together. Maybe not used to that as much when you think of, you know, the country that he's come from, playing in the Bundesliga. But look, again, really aggressive against them, really tight. Getting up to the edge of the box. Now he loses him. Now he goes and finds him again. Just keep an eye on him. But he makes one error as a centre-back. And I know that position so well myself. Look, they're together. So, right, really aggressive. What does he want to do in this position? He wants to get on line as the rest of his defenders and push up and not be left alone. So what he does in that position is, James, I just want you to come in. Now, if he wants to get up, you're Ollie Watkins, and I am aware that you've had an ACL injury, so you don't have to move. But if I'm fighting with my centre-forward here and the ball's there and I want to get up to the edge of the box, right? I don't get up this way. Because when I get there, Ollie Watkins is that side of the ball, OK? When I push up and I'm fighting, if I'm going to get up and try and leave, I've got to get up in front of him, in there. Because the ball's there, and if a cross comes in, I'm first. And if Ollie Watkins is going to make a run, he's got to come past me. I can block him, I can stop him. So we just run it on, and you see where he goes now. He runs on the outside of him, OK? So now he's in a position there with Ollie Watkins in a bad position. Also, Eze, this is the last time he looks at Matty Cash. And probably one of the reasons why he comes off, because Matty Cash had a great chance before this, and obviously we know he gets the goal. So he's a fault as well. But I think if Nketiah is in a better position, the other side of Ollie Watkins, when I think it's Pau Torres on the ball with that far side, he sees Ollie Watkins, and Ollie Watkins then makes that run. If he's the other side, maybe he can get to that ball first. Stops. Comes in, great finish, and you see Eze there, head in his hands. He knows a mistake, hence why he was brought off at half-time. Again, I go back to the centre-backs. Now, we can't get the full clip in because it's so long, the distance. This is not Emery Martinez with the edge of the box. This is a goal kick, I can assure you. So look at the distance from Emery Martinez when that ball's kicked to where that line is here. So Nketiah, he's actually deeper again than the rest of the back 4. 78 yards from that 6-yard box to do that. There's no way Gabriel and Saliba would be that deep. I think they'd be 10, 15 yards higher, it may be a bit of tiredness as well, especially when you see his reaction to the second ball. So the ball comes in, it's actually Ben White who goes to head it. That's where the centre-back, Oxham now, he's got a cover. And when you talk about tiredness, your touch goes, look, poor touch, another poor touch under his feet, then knocks it out to play. Listen, he's a good player, we know that, but 3 games in a week as well. But the quality from Villa, the quick throwing as well, James.
Yeah, you're looking at the defensive aspect. I'm more looking at the little small moments of quality within it. Jaden's feet initially, I know it gets cleared, but Yuri's composure there. Yuri Tielemans, who again, you talk about tired players. This is right at the depth of the game and a player who doesn't ever miss a minute for Villa. Just that little moment of quality in there. It obviously becomes a little bit scrappy when it goes into the box, but really happy for Emery Buendia as well, a lad who was at Norwich and has also had a big knee injury. So to see him put the winner away in a second was, it was good to see.
I mean, the big thing for me late in this game was 2 things, actually. Villa getting the 7 players in the box. I think, what was it, 94, 95? They got the goal. I'm not sure exactly when it was. But that's really going for it. Almost leaving themselves a little bit vulnerable behind. But this as well, the reaction from the Arsenal players. Yes, it hurts to concede a last-minute goal, but it almost reminded me. Do you remember Sami Khedira in the 1999 Champions League final against Man United? Lost the Champions League final, punching the ground. Yes, it's a big blow, but it almost feels like some of the Arsenal players feel like they've lost the cup final. That almost feels like that reaction, not a Premier League game. Of course, it was a huge blow, but I think for Arsenal, and I said this before the game, it was always going to be difficult here today. Don't get on Saturday. Don't get carried away. You lost the game against a very good team who were brilliant at home as well. You lost in the last minute without your 2 centre-backs. It's not that big a deal. But the reaction there, I thought, was telling about how much they felt they'd lost there in terms of losing that point.
From this Villa crowd, and why wouldn't you be? What a way to end the game. What was that feeling like when you saw that hit the back of the net, Emmy?
Incredible, because this team, I think the last couple of weeks we showed some character. Some games coming from behind in the games. The other night in Brentford was really tough, and the team showed an incredible character as well as to fight, to combat the game. And today, against the top team in the table, we did it again. So we fight until the last minute, the last second. So it's a really, really incredible win.
Matty, what a win. How big does that feel, beating Arsenal here?
Yeah, fantastic. I think, obviously, we knew it was going to be a really demanding game. But I think we were fantastic, and the crowd here today helped us through right at the end. And honestly, yeah, that was the craziest I've ever been. But now, so happy, for this man as well.
Yeah. Feels like ages ago that you actually put Villa in front. But how much did you want to exploit that Arsenal gave you in that first half?
No, yeah, it's what we spoke about, to be fair. In the first half as well, having John a little bit more inside and then me on the overlap. And there was a chance I had right before as well that I maybe could have done a bit better. But yeah, I just saw it and I hit it first time. It was nice.
Great goal. What about the way Aston Villa started this season? It was a really difficult start. And now you're second in the Premier League table. What does that say about this team?
Like I said before, some character, trust the process. Like the manager said, every single thing in the team, believing in what we do, in what we can do in this tough league. So yeah, I think we are showing every game we are doing big steps. So we need to continue this work, and we have many good games ahead.
The crowd seems so up for it today. What can Villa achieve this season?
Anything. Obviously, we've got to take it game by game, and just keep working hard and taking it in our stride. But at the minute, we're on a great run. But we know it's not even Christmas yet, so we have to keep being demanding.
A real sucker punch to lose the game with near enough the last kick of it. How do you sum up the match we've just seen out there?
Yeah, in the manner that it happened at the end, obviously, really difficult to take. In the first half we had moments. Obviously, had the best chance after, I think it's a foul on Ricky that Watkins goes through. After that, we started to control the game and had some good situations. You are always on the edge, especially when you don't manage the ball well when you regain it, and we didn't do that very well in the first half. And in the second half, we started really well, scored the goal. We were very dominant. But then we had periods that, again, the same issue appeared, and then we couldn't have the dominance, and we allowed certain open spaces. We gave 2 balls away ourselves to the opponent that could have cost us the game before actually the goal. And then the last kick of the game, we had the chance with Declan push the ball across for Noni and Victor. We don't score. Goal kick long, second ball, clear the ball, individual action, a lot of chaos inside the box, and you end up losing it. So it is painful.
In the second half particularly, it seemed quite difficult for either side to get any sustained control. Why do you think that was?
Well, I think it's the manner that we play, the quality that's on the pitch, and the moment somebody beats his own man and a duel, the space is open. And they are really good at that. Credit to them for what they do. They are a really good side. And yeah, we had our moments to go and score the second goal. We're very, very close in a few times. And at the end, I said, after 18 games unbeaten, which is a long run, you need to lift up and go again.
Do you see this as a missed opportunity, especially with playing first this weekend, where you could have gone 8 points clear? It's now 3 points to Villa in second.
Yes, but every week is going to be like this. I mean, we are 18 games unbeaten, and you're still the margin so small. So this is what we have to do. We have to focus on ourselves and certain standards that today, particularly individually, we didn't raise that level, and the effort was absolutely there, and yeah, use that pain to go again. That's football.
How do you ensure then that this defeat today doesn't derail any good momentum you've built up, particularly mentally in that dressing room?
Well, because the consistency levels that we showed with everything that happened to us has been incredible, so I have no arguments to think otherwise.
Thanks, Mikel.
Thank you.
Unai, congratulations. You said to us before the game, you love games like this, testing yourself against the best team in the league right now. So what does this win mean to you?
Good afternoon. Yeah, so happy. We finished this week really playing like we need, firstly competing, being demanding ourselves, adapting of the opponent, but playing personality. And we play really personality, dominating sometimes, getting their box, being intense and aggressive when we needed it. And so happy because Villa Park is special. The supporters, they transmit their energy. Of course, we need to transmit our energy to them, and we did it. And then play football. And how they are responding, the players, is really fantastic.
After the way Aston Villa started this season, it was a really tough start for your team. Now, you're second in the league. How have you turned this around, and what can this team achieve this season?
It's playing today Manchester City. Of course, we are going to focus game by game, because we know our only success way is coming if we are doing like that. Trying to focus each competition. Now we are going to play Europe League. Of course, Premier League is our first target. Through it, we must get our objective collectively. And of course, how we are doing, how we are competing, how we are more or less sometimes even struggling, but reacting and quick, again, responding like we did today. I think this is the most important through the players. The players, they are the protagonists, and today they show it.
Thank you very much, Unai.
Thank you.
Wolves are at home next in the Premier League after the Champions League trip to Bruges in the week. You have to remember, this is Arsenal's first defeat in 97 days here.
Yeah, you know, and what was interesting was not losing for 18 games, and it's still, the margins are really short, really small. But like, again, you're listening to a manager who knows exactly where he is, what the team's capable of, what they should be doing, what can happen if you don't do certain things right. And he was right, they were individually, they've done some good stuff to continue to create against us. And that's what's going to happen for the rest of the season. That's why to win these games, to get the cushion, is because you're going to come up against teams that are going to be tough to beat like that. When you go away, you might get a point, but then you might lose, and then the cushion helps you to build your confidence so you can get those points back next week. But what you don't want to get into, Steve, is losing those games and then losing another one, not winning at home, and then all of a sudden people catch you up, go past you, and then you'll feel the pressure of not being able to finish this off. But he sounds really good. He sounds very, very, focused.
This is the psychological side as well.
Yeah, and so he should be, really, because they've been on a fantastic run. They've conceded in the last minute of the game. here, and that'll hurt, definitely, on the way down back to London again, and over the weekend it'll hurt. And it doesn't really matter. I don't think for 1 minute he'll be thinking of what might have been. Oh, well, listen, if we could have won today, we'd have gone 8 points clear, at least for 10 minutes or whatever the case may be. So no, I don't think any of those thoughts are going through his head. It's just been beaten today, so but you start again. But they've built up in that unbeaten run, they built up a great spirit, they built up a strength, you know, a will not to get beaten in matches. And that will stand them in great stead over the course of the season. The truth is this year, I think that we all think here at this minute, any team who finished this particular season in front of Arsenal probably going to win the league.
OK. So. Reaction on the way, but we're still trying to digest it here, really. I mean, it was incredible drama from Villa there.
Wasn't it just, you know, I was just trying to think about what the two managers were going through at that stage. I believe that if the minute that Arsenal got off the bus, if you had said to Arteta, I'll take this draw here today, they'd taken it all day long and just got back down to London again. And for Emery then thinking a couple of chances, one that's gone across the box about 15 minutes earlier, and thinking, well, that's it now. Then there's a scramble in the penalty box, and you're looking around and you're thinking, you wonder who's going to get the touch to it, and your man gets it and Buendia puts it in the net. It's extraordinary, and an extraordinary feeling that they will have going into the dressing room now.
I think as well, Martin, you have to look at the substitutions he made. Marlon coming on offensive, Buendia coming on offensive. So I think that maybe should have been the signal to Arsenal is like, right, let's shut up shop now because they're.
What you're saying is here, the game management wasn't quite right for Arsenal.
No, not when we got into like 80. I think once you get into 85 minutes, you start getting past that. Martin will know more. Obviously, being a manager, knows what he wants to take in that moment. I think that Arsenal go in there. Let's face it, Villa with the chances they had, they could have won the game with the chances they had. I think you then say, right, let's take what we've got now and get back to London, Mark.
I have the utmost regard for you, Red, but here's my point. I think some players have to take responsibility. You mentioned Madueke should have run it into the corner.
Yeah.
These are the type of things. The manager would be encouraging him to do exactly that. Yeah. So, you know, you're talking about the man management there, or the game management time, then sometimes it's not down just to the manager. He would have been shouting those, although Madueke wouldn't have been able to have heard him, but he would have been shouting, take it to the corner.
So your point is players on the pitch at that point should take responsibility.
I think you know this. These are not young players anymore. You should know this. You know the last 5 minutes of a match is going to be very tight. You'll know what the manager's thinking. He will have taken the draw. Now, it's great to be offensive and it's great to be thinking that you can score in the last minute. And if you did get it, let's say Madueke had broken through and then suddenly something opened up for him, he scored a goal. There'll be nobody back in the dressing room saying, oh, we were going for that. You know, I remember one particular incident at Nottingham Forest in a European Cup game when a lad called Colin Barrett made this big run against Liverpool. We're 1-0 up, and the management team are desperate for him to stay put. He keeps running, and they're shouting at him to get back. He scores the goal, and it's, oh, fantastic. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that you know, the game can change, but absolutely, definitely, that Arsenal would have taken the draw there with 5 minutes to go.
Yes.
Is it too simple to say, if you've won the league and been there before, that you know you do that, you feel it, you smell it?
But you could say that now when you lose a game like that at that stage of the game, you could say, it's because they haven't done that. But I have to agree with Martin. Naturally, as a forward, if we're getting into that stage of the game when they're putting pressure on, they've just put two forwards on, two offensive, then you naturally know, Steve, that, you know, I'm going to start running into corner flags now. You know, because like a point at Villa in this stage is good. And I think a lot more people will lose points at Villa Park. Of course. But it would have been a good one to take.
Away from home, against the side who are right up alongside you. And this is a very, very important stage of the season. Every game, I suppose, is. But now coming into Christmas, and the last thing you want to do is just surrender that great record that you've had in the circumstance that you've had. Had Villa scored 15 minutes earlier, and you then are desperate to try and get an equaliser yourself, you'd fine, absolutely, change all sorts of plans. But when you're holding on to something then at the end of the day, and you've had a little bit of luck about 10 minutes earlier, take that luck and just run it into the corner.
Could Arsenal have done anything more with the goal? I mean, they put 2 or 3 tremendous blocks in the build-up, didn't they?
Well, this is what I'm saying. I thought it was brilliant defending. I was hoping that someone would clear it, but the way it was going, you know, the way Buendia, you could just see where Buendia is, he just stays in and around it. You know, he has a shot there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He passes it there, but then he gets up and he's just staying involved, waiting for something scraps. But then that's the composure. Yeah. He's waiting for something, and the composure is to not just slash it. He's placed it in past the goalkeeper. Great save from the goalie, great block from Timber there, great block from them again there. But then you can see he's just waiting. He's just waiting, Buendia, on the edge of things, like what's it called, flankers, you know, to get the ball and throw it out again. He's just, and that's a good finish. Yeah. And I'll give Villa that, you know what I mean, because they kept going. They've done well.
Yeah, I don't think that Arsenal could have done much more in that penalty box. They've got bodies behind it. They've tried to block it off, and the ball's just flukily come out again. That's the point. But overall, it's the minutes leading up to that that were the concern for them.
And Villa's character to keep going.
Of course, yeah. Well, that's the manager. We've praised him all day long, and so he might as well take the credit for it.
He's got to get credit for that, Steve, because he's brought 2 forwards on at the depth there. You know what I mean? Now Villa, 3 points behind. They'll feel confident. They started the season pretty poorly after, you know, everything that happened to them last season, missing out on Champions League, not being able to sign players and starting the season so badly. Now they've got themselves in a position where they're 3 points behind the leaders, who everybody's talking about as, you know what I mean, who's going to catch Arsenal? Now they're 3 points behind them, so they will be full of confidence in that. And then this is a good test for us again, because we've got to, at some stage, take the baton of we're going to try and finish this off. You're going to get games like that, and you have to try and finish them off, Steve. You have to take something from it. You can't lose games.
So Villa are 3 points behind in December. So, I mean, the question is, I guess, in this crazy old season, are they in the title race?
Of course
they are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They can win the title.
They can win the title. A number of teams can win the title. Will they win it? It might be a totally different thing. And it will depend, really, on their major players staying fit. I think that's the big thing. Now, also, like Arsenal, like Manchester City, I suppose they're in European football. That does take it out of you, depending on what sort of mentality you have, what sort of feeling you have towards the Europa League, for instance, that Aston Villa could win. They are capable of winning it. There's no question about it, because I feel, particularly in the Europa League, that the English teams are pretty strong. You know, but what, you know, now that you've put yourself into a position of trying to win the league, I think if you were asking the little manager, I think he would think, well, I think if you give me the Premier League title, I can think about Europe in another 5 years.